Be Your Best You, the Passionate to Purpose podcast with David Delaney. Good morning and welcome to this episode of Be Your Best You, where you know by now we love talking to people who are turning their passion into purpose, and this morning is no different. We talked to Trevor Henderson, who has recently started his own business selling vegetables, his own market fresh vegetables. Trevor's no stranger to the world of food. He's been doing this for as long as he can remember, and recent developments in his life afforded him the opportunity to start his own business doing what he loves, which is bringing the veg from seed, from scratch, all the way to the shelves. Trevor is very, very passionate about food, and you'll hear that when we speak to him about the different methods that he uses and his take on modern society and how we perceive food. Trevor Henderson, you are very welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, David.
Trevor, market fresh vegetables. Tell us a little bit about the journey and how you have ended up doing what you are doing.
How I've ended up is August last year, I was made redundant and have been on a PUP payment since, and have been growing on 0.9 of an acre, just under an acre for myself. And I've asked my kind landlord, can I have more? So I'm on 2 acres now, and I'm going to grow commercially. And when I start growing commercially, my PUP payment will end. So that's basically how I'm here. And it's, right, I think, the perfect storm, because I think local is the thing to be now.
Okay. Why vegetables? Why, what, so your background, just for listeners, your background is IT,
Yep.
technology,
Yep.
all that kind of. Where do vegetables come into the story?
IT wise, I was 22 years doing it, did degree in IT as well. Vegetables, I've always grown them from when I was at home and my dad, and since, and then the last 10 years, I've grown on the just under the acre for ourselves. And I've never had the time to do more, but now I've plenty of time. And so I said, here, I'll take the opportunity and see how I go.
So with vegetables, as that this is your livelihood now. This is vegetables. So
yep.
What you say you haven't got the time to grow vegetables? Is that a problem in modern society that people, like, if you look at, I suppose, growing up, lots of people had their back gardens with vegetables and small holdings and stuff like that. What happened, in your opinion, to the lifestyle and this thing that we don't have time to grow things that feed us and healthy, that kind of stuff? What has happened?
How it happened, I'm not sure, but yes, if you talk to a lot of people in their 60s or older, their parents, and they always had a back garden. Some had a pig out the back, some had a little bit. And I think modern consumer, they don't have, let's say, time. And how it happened, I have no idea.
So who does it then? If we don't do it ourselves, who is, like, where are we getting the veg and the product? Where's it coming from? Has it been mass produced, or like what?
Yes, big agriculture is mass producing organic, in inverted commas, vegetables and normal vegetables and everything. It's done by the ton and by the 1,000 of acres.
And what's the difference then between what you're doing, Trevor, and that?
What I'm doing is traditional vegetables. My vegetables are grown. I pick my seed for flavour. I will use artificial manure, but I weed by hand. I spray as little as possible. Say my carrots, I don't spray them at all. Potatoes, I do spray for blight, because if I didn't, they'd all be gone. There'd be no point sowing them. I do sow some blight resistant varieties, and I don't spray them.
So, for traditional vegetables, if we think, so is it okay if we look in the supermarkets nowadays, right? We go into the supermarket and we can, there's no smell. You walk in the supermarket, there's no smell. The supermarket is the only place that people pick up vegetables in a lot of cases. Is there a shift, do you think, happening? Are people going to farmers markets? Are people going to traditional vegetables? Is there a slow shift, and that will, kind of help you in doing what you're doing?
I wouldn't say slow. I think there's a big shift. I think COVID has kicked it on, and it's like you're reading my mind. Smell is what I like. A carrot should smell. You should scratch a carrot. You should smell carrot smell. You shouldn't need to put anything with your carrots to get flavor. Commercial carrot, if you have to put something with it to put a flavour in it. Traditional carrots have flavour. Parsnips, you scratch them, you have a flavour. Everything has flavour. Onions, the whole lot. They all have, like, my onions they're sweet. Once you cook them in the oven for an hour or whatever, and they're really sweet.
Okay. So is it okay then, Trevor, to buy a bag of carrots for 39 cents?
Loaded question.
Give us I mean, because that's what's happening. You walk into a supermarket and you pick up a bag of carrots, pre-washed, and it's 39 cents. Like, how is that possible? Is that okay?
No, it's you're picking up a bag of, I wouldn't call them carrots, I call them just pure carbohydrates and just mass-produced cardboard. Take chicken, for example. Commercial chicken I don't like it. It's the texture's wrong. It's cardboard, if you mean wet cardboard when you're eating it. Homegrown chicken it's not tough, but you need teeth to eat it. It's meat. And beef, you should need teeth to eat steak. It's steak. It's not soft.
So
jelly.
would you say there's a disconnect in consumers at like, are we like, we're buying these bags of 39 cent carrots. We're buying them all in the one place, which is the supermarket. So is there a serious disconnect going on? Like, is it the supermarkets who are the problem? Is it the producers who have said, okay, look, we're going to make a lot of money doing this type of vegetables? Who is the link that's the problem? Because the farmers, it doesn't cost 39 cents to grow a bag of carrots. I'm sure it costs a hell of a lot more. So, like, where's the disconnect? Is it the consumer? Is it the?
It's easy to blame supermarkets, but yeah, maybe there's some of the blame. People expect stuff dirt cheap, so they pay it for dirt cheap, and I don't know. But I think what I'm hearing anyway from before I start selling is people are willing to pay the prices that I'm hoping to charge, because they know the work that's going into it, and they know the care, they know that, so they appreciate. I think if there is definitely a disconnect between producer and consumer, because, like, how many kids do you know or not know, hear of, that think milk comes from a carton, not a four-legged animal walking around, if you know what I mean? So it's carrots come from a bag, not from the ground and covered in dirt. For to me, and say you know carrots come from the ground, like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I mean, is it education? Do we need to educate kids now on these things? Should it be on the curriculum? This is where food comes from. This is the seed. This is the carrot. I know some schools do a little. Some schools have a small growing program that they grow little veg patches and stuff like that. But is it something that you would encourage schools to do? And how do you go about that?
Schools would be a start, but I think it's community, and it's older. Should have been done maybe 40 years ago, when people started stopping, getting disconnected from what it takes to grow thing. And yes, you can have your 39 cent carrots, but means we use a bucket of chemicals. We spray 5 times for carrot fly on carrots. We do whatever it needs to be done to get it to that, and you have to do it, because that's the price you're working for, and you're wasting half of them or whatever because they're slightly crooked, because the EU says you can't sell a crooked carrot because people might get upset. But a crooked carrot grown in your own back garden tastes just as good as a dead straight carrot.
Tell me a bit more about that. The EU rules for crooked carrots. What's that? What's the crack with that?
I won't be quoting legislation, but it's wonky veg. You can't sell a cucumber if it's slightly curved, or a carrot if it's slightly crooked, but it grows in the ground. If it hits a stone, the carrot will go slightly sideways. If a cucumber gets a slight damage on one side, it'll start to curl, but it'll taste absolutely perfect.
But it's law that it can't be sold. Is that, or shouldn't be sold? There's guidelines maybe, as opposed to law.
Give me about 5 years, I'll come back with my barrister's degree and I'll tell you.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you again just take that.
No, it's general European directives, if you know what I mean. You can't do this, you can't do that, but it's madness. They're throwing away perfectly good vegetables.
They're thrown away. They're not like
or feeding them to cattle. It's any of the programs you watch, because I think it's potatoes. Something like half of them are thrown away because they're not perfect. But a bit of damage on a small potato, you cut it out as you're peeling it, and on you go, and your potato is perfect. Nothing wrong with it.
I mean, that's something I suppose listeners can bear in mind the next time they are in a place that they go to buy all these things. Is to maybe look and actually, for a change, look properly and look how uniform all of the carrots are. Look how uniform all, and just bring it into perspective that it doesn't, nature didn't intend them to grow this perfectly. Manipulation of foods, Trevor, is something that's happened a lot, just in terms of the likes of like kamikaze seeds and that kind of stuff, that farmers are being locked into buying particular seeds from particular large companies that grow once, and then you have to buy them. Is that something that's changing as well, or have you encountered that in your work with vegetables?
I haven't encountered it because I would lean towards more the open pollinated ones, more traditional varieties. It happens, I believe, for genetically modified and specific varieties of. There's a certain amount of varieties you can grow and save your own seed. There's a certain amount you have to pay royalties for.
Right. So people have effectively patented and copyrighted food.
I believe the rooster potatoes is patented. If you keep your seed from that, you have to pay for keeping the seed and for sowing it next year. But any of the older varieties, you can keep all you want and sell all you want, and they're not in effect patented. But I will add, I may be open to correction on that.
Okay. Well, Ryan, what's your thought of let's fast forward 10 years, right? Yeah. Where is food going to be? Is it going to be GM? Is it going to be, what's your thoughts on that?
Good question. GM, I wouldn't knock. I think there's a lot to be learned from it. GM, just so you can spray more chemicals? No, maybe. If you can short out 50 years of plant breeding to get, say, a potato resistant to blight that we don't have to spray, then I look at it. I'm open to new modern technologies. I'm not stuck in Stone Age and just what's the old stuff and have to do it that way. But I would tend towards older varieties and older, because they're around for however many years because they're good and they taste. It has to be taste and smell. Smell they're both the same. Taste and smell are.
So bring us back to what you're doing yourself. You mentioned there you've what two acres that you're growing on now.
Yeah.
What have you got? What have you got growing at the moment? What have you started off with?
At the moment, ready to be picked is lettuce, but growing, I have planted lettuce today, kohlrabi. I'm going through my garden as I go up it. Tomatoes, celeriac, onions, small bit of garlic, shallots, parsnips, carrots. I've tried a rainbow colored carrots this year, the different colors in the seed pack, and what else? Cabbages, broccoli, winter broccoli sprouts. I would call it your average traditional Irish vegetables, with a few maybe modern ones as well.
And see, all seasonal, obviously, because they didn't grow. Wasn't the right season, obviously.
All different season, definitely everything growing in season. Small little cloches, kind of little plastics to get a few weeks either end, but no grow lights or mad tomatoes in the middle of January and that kind of stuff.
And is that another thing, Trevor, that's forgotten about, seasonality?
Yes, very big.
So how do we?
That's a touchy subject.
Okay, right.
Strawberries for me are Strawberry Fair going through Wexford, and it's June.
Right.
Not December. Not December.
El Santa in December.
It's your strawberries. Like I have 3 heritage strawberry varieties, and they're only coming to flower now, which means probably July they'll have strawberries on it. And to me, that's strawberry season. And I think things taste nicer because you can't get them all year.
Do you think people think, you mentioned organic, traditional stuff like that. So when someone sees something that's maybe a little bit, is it fair to say you pay for what you you get what you pay for. Is it fair to say that? I mean, you're not going to be a millionaire growing vegetables, are you?
Nope.
Is that an aspiration?
Nope. Yep. My aspiration is to grow enough vegetables that I don't have to work.
Okay. So how many acres is that going to take?
I know in 2 or 5 years if I'm back
Okay.
working in IT.
Right.
It depends how much I can push into a spot and how well I can grow and how I can sell them and if I can get a premium price for what I'm growing.
Right.
If you know what I mean. Because I can't sell, like, let's say a bunch of carrots. Let's say they're same as the Aldi bunch of carrots. I'm not going to be even able to sell them for €1. I'm probably thinking €2. But
yeah, it's a fair price for.
Yeah. And my stuff isn't organic. I'm not a fan of organic. And that's a very big high horse.
Right.
Might get nosebleed if you go up there. But mine is, I'm after homegrown. I'm after, if you need chemicals, you have to use them, whether synthetic or natural derived. Sometimes you have to, and I will if I have to. I will try natural first. I'll try cover them first. But like potato blight, there's nothing I can do by covering them or anything. My potatoes will still get blight and they'll all fail if I don't spray them. Even organic, you'll spray them with bluestone. It's a natural chemical, but it's a chemical, and you have to wear a mask when you're spraying it. So my synthetic is, yes, maybe more not as safe here, but that's why it's a high horse. But
again, I know from talking to other people, like, there's a lot of certification, there's a lot of red tape around organic. Sometimes it's actually more bureaucracy and red tape in some cases than it actually is, and people lose sight of what they're actually trying to achieve in the first place. 2 acres. How many people would feed? How many people are you going to feed from 2 acres? I'm trying to get a picture of scale. And if say you had a field entirely of carrots, how many people would you feed?
I have no idea.
For how long?
Put it this way. I was on, let's say 3/4 of an acre previously, and had ground spare. I was able to feed a family of 5. We'd have potatoes till about June. Might buy potatoes for a few weeks, and then my new potatoes come in. Vegetables somewhere around May. I'd be buying vegetables for a month or so, but the rest of the year it's all mine. So family of 5, and say whoever else is around, you know what I mean, a bag of potatoes here, a few vegetables here and there. I'd have surplus. I easily have surplus, and to be going all over the place rather than waste them. And sometimes there'd be so many some would be wasted, just left in the ground and plowing back in. So I would say, half an acre I could feed a family, no problem, with nice vegetable most of the year.
Right. So it's scaling up nicely. I mean, waste. People. It's one thing that drives me mental is when I see people, colleagues of mine, I've done it in the past. You go to their house and they're emptying their fridge into a bin, and it drives me mental because you see the best of food coming out, and you kind of go, okay, there's a use for that. There's a use for that. To make quiche. Like, oh no, I don't have the recipe for quiche and that kind of stuff. Is waste a problem, or the attitude towards waste?
No, it is another high horse. Use by dates and best before dates, like something like eggs. If an eggs have a 1 month or 2 week best before date, you crack an egg open, you smell it. If it stinks and you're gonna puke, it's off. If it doesn't, it's fine. It's, if you know what I mean. Carrots, the best before date is gone, but it's a tiny bit soft. It'll be fine. Cook it away. Or cabbage, the edge leaves are a little bit yellow. Pull them off. Cut the rest of it up. It's fairly crunchy. It'll be fine. Cook away. If you know what I mean.
Have we been scared into this?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah.
And people don't know a best before date. It's going to kill you after date. If you know what I mean. It's something like, say, chicken breasts or processed chicken that has been cut and best before date or used by date. Definitely stick with it. But if it's a vegetable and your cucumber, he's a bit soft at the top, cut off the soft bit. The rest is fine. On you go. It's fine. It's a vegetable. Chicken, something like that, there's salmonella. There's all other safety things. That's completely different.
Challenges you're facing yourself, Trevor. Like, you're out there. Is there red tape and bureaucracy for selling market traditional vegetables?
That'd be a very good question to ask me in about a year's time.
Okay.
Because at the moment I've found none, so long as I don't wash my lettuce and stuff. I can wash it, I can rinse it, I can rinse my carrots, I can rinse everything because that's all agriculture. If I bring it into my kitchen and rinse it for you to consume, then it's HSE, and that's a whole different level of cleanliness. If you know what I mean, the dog can't be in the kitchen, the stuff has to be clean and the whole lot. But agriculture is which I'm sectored under at the moment. I'd be fine. Rinsing stuff just to take off the big dirt. I'm not cleaning it so you can consume it, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
I haven't come up against much red tape yet.
Yes. What's your? Do you think red tape is there to be in what you're doing? Like you're the one out there knowing seasons, knowing the the passion that you're putting into this. You're knowing all this. So are you inclined to nod and smile and say yes to the red tape, or are you the type of person who would challenge
Um, Depends on which way you challenge it.
legally?
Let-
As in your
yeah,
reaction is a legal one.
I would comply to all legal requirements. No, some things like if I had a spray that's been out of date and they don't use it for the last 5 years, I wouldn't use it, if you know what I mean, because it's into the food chain. There's a reason for banning it. It is a bad. I know of one. It is a bad spray. It's an organophosphate, which is a dangerous spray, and it's banned. It's not used, so I won't use it. So that because of now that I'm going commercial, I'm looking at more organic ways of doing it. More. Now let's see this year if organic. I'll give it a go. If it works, it works. I bought a neem oil, which I've never seen before, but I found out it works for killing some aphids and stuff. So I'll give that a go and see if that works. I will cover some things to see if I can get them out of it, but I can't cover everything. And when you open it, they will. But I did find out things like, say, carrot fly. They fly mainly, let's say, around dinner time, 5 to 7 o'clock at night. So if I'm opening a cover to weed carrots, I'm going to do it in the morning now because they don't fly that time of the morning and
The
things like that.
learning
But
curve.
I will give credit to Chagas. They have free online courses that you just listen into webinars, experts in industry. They are commercial experts, but I'm picking up a few bits here and there from them, if you know what I mean. Things the way sprays works, that kind of stuff.
Do you lose sleep over this
Over
idea?
what?
Over everything, like the venture? Do you think, because it's there are risks,
Yep.
if the veg don't grow, if the veg
Yep.
are, is it what's your thoughts on, do you panic, or what, do you have any worries about it, or?
Worries, no. Panic, no. Because my personal situation is I'm getting a pup payment at the moment. I've no problem telling everyone $350 I get from the government. And I haven't left a job to do this. The guys who are still in the job that I was in, they're on pup payment still and probably will be until it runs out. So the only thing, and I'm not buying very expensive stuff this year. I'm seeing how I'm going this year. I'm not buying land that's my eventual, take a big lump and buy 10 acres or 20 acres and then start growing stuff. I'm like a fridge. I was looking at one, it was 6.5 grand for a lovely container, lovely fridge, but it was spotless. I don't need that for vegetables. I know someone who has panels from a factory. They're insulation panels, and I can get a reasonably cheap cooler for it and put it all together way, way cheaper. And I'm getting lend of machinery and stuff. So the only thing I'm really risking this year is my wage for the year on top of the pup payment, if you know what I mean, or when I stop getting the pup payment. So let's say whatever £1,000, that's what I'm risking. I'm not in debt. If a year's time, that this time next year I go, or come Christmas, I go, I couldn't sell half the stuff I could sell. I grew. It's all rotten in the ground. I'm out, if you know what I mean. I've a year of experience and I haven't risked massive, huge, big borrowings. And I know then I can't do it, if you know what I mean.
You say there is a surge in people wanting this, people wanting, stuff that's not mass produced, and you've seen that yourself.
Yep. For me, it's you say want mass produce or not want mass produce?
Not one.
Yeah. Oh, shouldn't he? No, I think it's the perfect storm. People have, for me, it's the perfect storm because of redundancy, and I think COVID as well. COVID has made people realize that stuff, how far it comes. Brexit in there in the mix as well. People realize how much stuff. I realize, because I didn't get my C's before the 1st of January because of Brexit. I can't get them from the English company now because it's EU passports. So, and I was actually I can say today now, because I was in Firecastle today in Kildare. They're a deli. I don't know if you know them, they're a deli and a cafe. But they're going to sell my stuff, and what they can't sell in the retail side, they're going to use in their deli side. So, and he's even going to, like, if I have 20 lettuces and I have only sales for 6 or 8 of them, he's going to go, okay, well, you'll have those 20 in a week time. He'll count me in for the extra 10 in his deli, and he'll use them, no problem. And slightly damaged to them at all, he doesn't mind any of that either. So if hailstones, there was the other day, damages my lettuce, he's fine, you can just cut around it. Or my carrots have a slight little bit of a damage on them, say a rust on parsnips or whatever, he'll cut around it. He's perfectly happy with that. And rather than waste stuff in their retail side, he'll count it in their deli and use it. And that's to me no brainer. And it's where I can, if I have an oversupply of stuff, he'll go, okay, well, I can tell him I've way too many celeriac. He'll go, okay, in the next couple of months we'll do celeriac, we'll do soup, we can do that. Yeah, I can take that, no problem. And he'll work around it. And I'm delighted with it. It's going to be not a lifesaver, but it's going to help me a lot. So I can, especially in my year stacking up, because I'm going to have overproduction in some stuff. Because some people say to me, oh, you can just grow what you know you're going to sell, but how do I know if I put a table out the front and I have 10 cabbages on it that I'll sell 10 cabbages? I could sell one and have 9 sitting there. 3 days later, the chickens have to get them, or the pigs have to get them, because they're gone too limp and they're wasted, because they're not fit for sale, if you know what I mean. So, but in 2 days' time, they'll be fit for using in a restaurant or a deli or cafe or whatever.
So like what I'm hearing is that sense of community that you mentioned that's important is very much rooted in what you're doing. You're dealing with, you know, the sensible small guy who says, okay, I can't sell, I'm going to make soup. You know, that seems like something that's going to play out very, very positively for you.
Yeah.
Who inspired you to do this, or who inspires you generally?
Inspire me to what? To grow, or to?
Just in general, is there a person of inspiration that you say, okay, I'm actually inspired by, I don't know, is there like some famous grower or is there someone in your life that you kind of said, you know, I'm going to do that, or that's inspiring, or, you know, they've gone that path, I'm going to go my path? Is there inspiration?
Inspire is a strange word. I know who I'd like to be like. There's 2 growers in the States, or not the States. Sorry to one of them. One's in Canada, I think the other's in the States. It's Elliot Coleman and Jean Martin. He's the market gardener. It's his setup. He's on, I think, 5 acres or 10 at most, and he's making very good living. He has, and he does courses and stuff as well. I haven't paid for any of his courses, just his YouTube stuff and his book. He'll put out his figures, tell people exactly what he's making, no problem telling them. And that's why I've no problem telling people I've made redundant. I'm not ashamed of it. It's nothing. It's the best thing that happened to me, because it is. But I've always liked what they've had. I've always liked the River Cottage series. I must have wore out the DVDs. It wasn't quite on video tape, but it was DVDs. Wore them out, I think, and yeah, that's wrong. But never would have left my job to do it, because that was, say, 10 years ago. Just got married. My oldest is 12 now. So yeah, young family, not going to leave my job. So now that's why I will call it the perfect storm. My youngest is 6, 5. But and I was made redundant. The COVID, everything just happened at the right time. I still wouldn't have left my job like 22 years in the job, I wouldn't have left it. But the fact that I was paid to leave, I'm happy to leave. I was very happy to leave. If they're listening, I'm very sorry that I had to leave. I would love to have stayed.
You didn't tell us who they were, so that's okay.
No,
we're
I
all
can't.
good. And you mentioned the supermarket there. You mentioned one particular German supermarket. What we were talking about applies to all supermarkets.
I would apply that to all supermarkets, including English supermarkets, who have the English flag in their colours. And various Irish. Yeah, various Irish
going in there. It's interesting. Labeling is something else. It's a whole other conversation, but I don't think it's a horse that we're going to get onto. And it's great to see that. And you mentioned traditional, you mentioned local. Tell us where we're going to. You mentioned Firecastle, which is in Kildare.
Yep.
Where else will we be seeing Henderson Market?
You will be seeing Henderson Market Garden at my house. You can buy stuff from there.
Trevor Henderson, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, David. Thanks for having me.
Be Your Best You, the Passionate to Purpose podcast with David Delaney.